right. Hello everybody, welcome. I am Leah Wilson-Felis. I'm so glad that you're all here and you decided to roll out the mat with me today. Make sure that if you would like a yoga mat that you have one or maybe a couple so that it's a little bit thicker, a little bit more cushion. I like to make sure that I have a blanket to sit on while I'm doing yoga or for my knees, and sometimes I like to just make sure that I have a block handy if you have one. And so what that block does is it helps to raise the floor up at any point. And so we'll get started with our practice today. I'm doing a series with the 8 limbs of yoga. And so the 8 limbs is the eightfold path to really just finding bliss, finding that state of mind where you can just be right here, right now, with no worries. And so I'm just starting by talking about the yamas. And the yamas is the first limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. And there are 5 yamas, excuse me. And so the first yama that I talked about in my last video is called ahimsa, and ahimsa means non-violence and non-harming towards yourself and towards others. So it's basically just being kind, being a nice person, being compassionate. And so the second yama that I'm going to talk about today, we have to first take into consideration ahimsa, be kind, be compassionate. The second yama is called Satya, and Satya means truthfulness or non-lying. And so how does that relate to yoga practice, you might ask? And so when we're on our mat and we're practicing our yoga, you want to be honest with yourself about how you're feeling and which positions you're taking into consideration. And so I'd like to offer you a mudra today for Satya, for honesty, for being truthful and honest with yourself. And so real fast, we have someone who wants to admit. There we go. I'm going to admit her. So this film is also being recorded for YouTube and live for Zoom for the community partnership. So if you see me coming back and forth to the screen to admit people in the live class, that's why. So the mudra is you're going to take your left hand and you're just going to make a little cup with your hand. And then you're going to take your right hand and you're going to cup it over top and make a little treasure chest. So the name of this mudra is called Samputa mudra, and the word Samputa means treasure chest. And so you can imagine like a little treasure for yourself, maybe a talisman of truth for you. You can hold this right in front of your heart, you can hold it in front of your throat, or you can just let it rest in your lap. So let's close our eyes or lower the gaze down onto the floor somewhere. Maybe there's a spot on your yoga mat that you can gaze at, or an imperfection in the floor in front of you that can hold your gaze. And we're going to start to just breathe and bring your awareness to how the breath moves in the throat. So as you breathe in, notice how the air is cold. And it moves in through your nose and down past your throat. And as you breathe out, notice how the air is warm. Breathing in this cool, fresh air, letting it rush past the throat into the lungs, and breathing out warm air. Out any stale oxygen, any old energy. So imagine that fresh, clean, cold air coming in, warm air moving out with any impurities from your body. As we move through our practice today, practice Satya. Practice being honest with yourself, being honest with your movements, and if there are any variations that don't suit you and suit your practice, then have the grace to practice ahimsa, non-violence, non-harming, and let go of the posture or Try something different. Be creative. Let's take 3 more breaths, just cleansing out our throat. This mudra, this breath, is really about cleansing the throat. The throat is the channel for truth, for communication, for honesty. So remember, practice honesty, but also be compassionate. Now let's release this mudra, this treasure chest, and bring our hands to an interlaced position. We're just going to kind of roll out our wrists here. So your hands might be interlaced in the more comfortable position, and we're drawing figure 8s with our fingers here. And so I'm guiding with my thumbs. And then I'm going to go the opposite way, so this is going to be some brain yoga. We're going to unhinge the fingers and interlace them the awkward way so that it feels a little strange, and try to go backwards, guiding with your pinky fingers. Yeah, nice job. So it might feel a little awkward. It's alright. Now, what we'll do is go back to the normal way that you would interlace your fingers, the way that feels good, and let's just lift our elbows and kind of stretch our hands out. Push your palms out towards me and round your back out here, and let's wring out our ribs. Hands to the right, ribs to the left. Hands to the left, ribs to the right, back and forth a couple times, just kind of rocking through the ribs and through the chest. Stretching things out today. Now let's sweep our hands up to the sky, and we'll rock from side to side. So now you're getting through the sides of the ribs, opening up under the armpits, through the waist. Great work. Go ahead and release your hands down. Bring them back behind you. You can set your hands on the floor flat, or you can have fingertips on the floor. Bring it behind you. Let's open our chest up, let your head hang back. Maybe rock your head from right to left while it's hanging back. A little crunchy in there. We'll bring ourselves up, and we're going to give ourselves a big hug. So wrap your arms around you. Try to pull your shoulder blades forward off of your ribs. Let's open our chest. Big inhale. As you exhale, hug yourself with the opposite arm on top. Let's do that a couple times, robin's breath. Inhale to open. Exhale, give yourself a hug. Inhale, open. Last time, giving yourself that rounded back hug. And we'll open our arms out to the side. Now today we're going to start with our legs and move our way up the body. So I'm going to turn to the side and extend my legs out long so that I'm sitting vertically on my mat. We do want our feet to be separated when they're on the mat, and you want to try to keep your toes and your knees pointed up. The reason for that is simply alignment. We want to be trying to stretch the backs of the legs all the way up into our back. So let's take a big inhale, sweeping up for the sky. And as you exhale, round over your legs, reaching for your toes. If you're feeling kind of tight today, you might feel this all the way from your feet, up your calves, up your legs, up your back. Drop your chin to chest, and you might feel it all the way to the neck. Let's try to take a couple of those deep rushing breaths through your throat, noticing that air moving through the throat center. Just noticing any tension, where you're holding it, and if you're suffering, if your body is saying, I don't want to hold this pose anymore, then give yourself that grace and come out of the pose before I tell you to. Listen to your own body. That's being honest with yourself. Let's roll up to center. Awesome work. So from here, if you would like to support yourself on your hands, you can. If you can sit up nice and tall and use your core to hold yourself up. And we're going to work with our toes. Flex your toes back to your nose, and then point your toes as hard as you can towards the top of your mat. And then do that a couple times. We're just flexing and pointing. We're going to draw some circles here. So flex your feet hard so that they're flexed back. Roll your toes out to the side. Now point your toes with your knees turned out. Roll your toes up, point your toes, flex your toes. Roll them outward. Point the toes. Roll them up. Flex. Like a rainbow, turn your toes out. Point them down. Roll them up. Let's go the opposite way. So roll them out. Flex your toes back. Like a rainbow, we're going to bring our toes up. Point them. Roll them out. Flex the toes back and roll them up. We'll do it one more time. Nice. All right. So we don't work our ankles that much, so you can wiggle them out if you need to. We'll stretch our calves a little bit later when we go into some kneeling positions. We're going to work one leg at a time. So let's keep our right leg straight. And if it's okay for your left knee, you can bend it out to the side. Maybe give it a little support if that's bothering your knee, or if that knee's just not having it today, kick the left leg out, focus on the right. So if you'd like, you can just slide down your leg, or you can take a big inhale to rise up first and then fold over top the right leg. Try to do this evenly so that both arms are equally reaching, and we're going to bow our head down. Draw your chin to your chest. Take 2 more deep breaths, maybe more if you're enjoying it. Maybe less if you're suffering. So you have to gauge where you are in your practice in this pose. Great job. Go ahead and slide yourself back up to center. If you're straight on your mat like I am, you're just going to separate your left foot from your right thigh and adjust your hips out. So now I have space between my left foot, my right thigh, and I want to line up my belly button with my left heel. I'm already starting to feel my right inner thigh stretching, but if you'd like to feel more, you can start to lean your belly button towards your left foot. Only going as far as you need to feel a gentle stretch. When you get to that spot where you feel the stretch and it's a little uncomfortable but not painful, you might just relax your shoulders. Close your eyes and take a couple more deep breaths and send that breath to your right inner thigh so that you really are soothing that area. Remember, you always have a choice to take yourself up out of a pose before I give you the cue to. So listen to your body. Great work, everybody. Now what we're going to do is slide back up to center. Take your right hand down your right leg. Sweep your left hand out wide to open your chest, open your throat here, lift your chin up. And then we'll sweep that left hand up to the sky, and maybe it continues over just like a rainbow, like we're drawing a big arc in the sky over towards the right foot. Try to let your right shoulder relax. Let your head lean to the right. Take one more breath, just holding your stretch. Let's bring ourselves up out of the pose. We're going to take ourselves into the oppositional pose. So what I'm going to do is scooch back onto my mat a little bit so that I'm nice and lined up. We want our left shin to be on the mat for a little bit of cushion. If you have a blanket handy, maybe you bring the blanket under your left shin. Sweep your left hand down to the floor, and we're going to roll our right toes forward. This becomes our kickstand, and we're going to roll up onto our left shin. Reach that right hand up to the sky. It's a lot of pressure on that left wrist, I know, but we're going to get strong there. One more breath, maybe even reaching the right hand over your head. Go ahead and drop your hip back down. We're going to try that again, but in fast motion. So sweep your right hand down your right leg, left hand up and over, coming back into that side body stretch. Let's take a big breath. Inhale, sweep the left hand up and over, drop it into the floor, and we're moving into that baby wild thing over the head. Nice job. One more breath. Drop the hips down. Great job, everybody. Now, let's arrange our body back forward to the front of our mat and kick our left leg out. Wiggle out those legs a little bit. So we've done the right back of the thigh, inner thigh. Let's do a little outer thigh. So bend your right knee and cross it over top the straight left leg. Give that right leg a hug. Now, if you're a little bit further along in your practice and you like to kind of create a pretzel pose with your body, then you can lean back and curl the left leg underneath. My rule always goes with grounding. If your hips are no longer grounded, both of them, with the leg curled under, then it might be just better for your ability to stay grounded if you keep your left leg lengthened. So that's your choice, whichever you would like. We're going to hug that right knee in, maybe start rocking it around. You might start feeling the stretch in the outer hip. Nice job. We'll do this stretch again later, but in a deeper form. Let's drop our right foot down on the outside. We're going to go into a gentle twist. The right hand swings up and over to the back of the mat. The left arm is also going to swing up and over so that the elbow hooks on the outside of the right leg. Inhale to sit up nice and tall. Exhale, drop your shoulders. Inhale once again. Exhale and add a twist. Take 2 more breaths, just holding the stretch or twisting further if that feels good for your body. Perhaps even glancing over the right shoulder to get your neck involved. Nice work. Let's bring ourselves back to center. If your left leg is curled under, uncurl it. Lengthen it out. We're going to drop our right leg on the outside of our straight left leg. So now we have the right knee bent like a figure 4 out to the side and the left leg straight. Take a big inhale up to the sky, and we're going to reach down for our toes. Some people just prefer to just kind of slide their hands down to their ankle instead of reaching up first. So however you like to enter the posture, it's your choice. Now again, try to equalize your arms, equalize your shoulders so that your left shoulder or your right shoulder is not higher than the other one. And let's start to simply bow our head down. Remember to stay honest with yourself during your practice today, and if any of the postures aren't suiting you or they're no longer serving you, then make that decision to honor your body. Great work. Let's slide ourselves back up to center. We've now stretched the back of the thigh and we're going to move to the inner thigh. So I'm simply going to take my right foot, separate it from my left thigh, and adjust my hips. So I'm going to switch out to the other side so that you can see what I'm doing. So now my left leg is straight, right foot is separated, and I've adjusted my hips. My right foot is in alignment with my belly button. I already feel a stretch here, but if you'd like to, you can start to lean a little bit more into your right foot to increase the stretch. Close your eyes when you find that spot. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Don't press too far into the stretch. And if it becomes too much, you can always rock your body, your torso, a little bit from left to right, and that helps to kind of ease that sensation, or rather, not overload the nervous system. All right, everybody, we're going to prepare for our Pavrita Janu Sirshasana and our baby wild thing. So let's adjust back onto our mat so that you're on the mat. If you have a blanket handy, maybe you bring that underneath your right shin. So first let's do our twisted head to knee position. Sweep your left hand down your left leg, and your right hand's going to sweep out back. Right hand goes up to the sky over your head, and remember to keep your left shoulder relaxed. For now, let's hang out for a whole breath or two, just feeling the stretch. Left inner thigh, right whole side body. Maybe letting your head drop down to the left a little bit. Inhale, sweep your right hand all the way up, back to center. We're going to drop our right hand into the mat, and then we're going to start to sweep. So our left toes turn forward. We're dropping our weight onto our right shin and hoisting ourselves up into that baby wild thing. A little bit of a rock star pose there. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Feel that whole left side body stretching, reaching. We'll drop it back down. Let's do it in fast motion. Sweep that left hand down, right hand up and over. Relax the shoulders. Take one more breath. Inhale, fan yourself up and over. Sweep that left arm up and over to your baby wild thing. So we're propping ourselves up on the right knee. Awesome job. Breathe in. As you breathe out, drop your hips. And we're going to align ourselves back to center on the mat. So kick out that right leg. Wiggle it out a little bit. We're going to stretch our left outer thigh. So bend your left knee. Cross it over top your right leg. Give it a hug. If you want to, if you curled your left leg under on the other side, then maybe lean back, support yourself, and curl your right leg under as well. So again, if your sits bones are not both grounded on the floor with the legs curled under, then the better option is to keep your right leg straight. Or if it hurts your knees at all, let's add a twist. So that means our left hand is going to come to the back of our mat to support our whole body. If you'd like, your right hand can sweep up and over too and hook on the outside of that left thigh. Shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed, and we'll start to twist. Couple more breaths, just holding that twist, only if it feels good. And then we'll start to unwind. Support yourself so you can unwind your legs. Wiggle those legs out. Let's see how they have responded to all of this work. Big inhale up to the sky. Exhale, rounding over the legs. See if you can reach your toes or your ankles. Shins or knees is perfect as well. So just wherever you can find that stretch in the legs. Hopefully feeling a little bit looser as we're just starting to warm up. Great work, everybody. So as our legs are straight here, we're going to move up into the upper body, the core, the torso. We've already done one twist, but we're going to add another one in here just to start to bring some real awareness into the side body. So let's take our left hand to the outside of the right knee, and the right hand will come back to the mat. Inhale to sit up tall. Exhale, add a twist. Nice work. We're going to add another step to that twist. So come on back to center. We're going to take our right leg and cross it over top. the left thigh. So if that hurts your knee at all, like your knee right here doesn't feel right, then you can take some rolled up blankets and support that leg a little bit, give yourself some cushion. So now we have this outer knee to take us a bit further. So again, we're going to take our left hand to the outside of our right knee. Nice. So for me, I feel more in the outside of that hip when I bend that right knee. If you'd like to, you can try by reaching your right hand back behind you, turning your hand back so thumb faces down, and sweeping the hand to your low back. We're in the beginning stages of a half lotus twist. Maybe eventually you'll be able to reach your right foot with your right hand behind your back. Using a strap there is really helpful. Great job, everybody. Let's try this all on the other side. So unwind, kick that right leg out. We're going to bring our right hand to the outside of the left thigh or knee and sweep your left hand back to the back of your mat. Sit up nice and tall. Exhale and add a twist. Rock your head a little bit if you like. Let's add the half lotus twist. So come on back to center, let your spine unwind. We're going to bend our left knee, cross it over top the right leg. So if you need a little cushion under that knee, support it with a block or blankets, pillows. Alright, so we're going back into that twist. Right hand, left knee. Left hand to the mat behind you. And maybe one day you can bind using your core to hold you up tall. Lifting your back left hand, rotating your palm down and back behind you so that the thumb is pointing down. Bend your elbow, sweep it to your low back. And maybe one day you'll be able to get that left foot close enough to grab onto it with your left hand. That's just kind of like the goal position. Use a strap, use a long sock around your foot. That works well too. Whenever you've had enough, unwind. Come back to center. Stretch that left leg out. Alright, so from here, shoulders. Do some shoulder rolls. I'm going backwards now, so I'm going to switch and go forwards too. Great job. I'm going to turn towards the camera, so if your legs are comfortable straight like this, you can keep them straight, or you can crisscross them if that's something that you prefer, just so you can see what I'm doing to the front aspect. So let's stretch our arms out long and pretend like you have someone on each side of you kind of pulling your arms out from your shoulders. Lift through the crown, ground through the tailbone, so you're being stretched. You're being quartered. We're going to just tilt over to the right. Right hand, drops, left hand reaches up. If you want to, that left hand can continue over. Bend through the right elbow, soften the right shoulder. Let your head lean to the right. Last breath here. Inhale, bring yourself back up to center and pretend like someone is pulling on your arms. With your arms straight out like that, start to shift to the left and drop your left hand to the ground as the right hand reaches up and over. To continue, drop your left shoulder. Drop your left elbow. Let your head lean to the left. Remember to stop when you feel the right amount of stretch for yourself. So it doesn't need to be painful to be effective. Inhale, bring it back up. Chin to chest. Roll your head to the right. Keep your left fingertips grounded. Chin to chest. Keep your fingertips grounded as you roll your head to the left. Feeling that right side stretching back and forth, rolling your head to the right, fingertips grounded, shoulders lowered, rolling your head to the left. Be honest with yourself. How's that neck feeling? And if this move is not serving you, or if you need to do it a little bit lighter, or if you need to hold the position, use your discernment. Be clear with yourself. Have that clear communication. What is it that you need today? All right, my friends, full neck circle. Go all the way around. A couple times in each direction, maybe. Only if that feels right and good. Awesome job. Let's start to make our way to center. If you need some water, you can grab some water. We're going to move our way to hands and knees to a tabletop position. That way we can include all the areas that we've already stretched. So if you have a blanket close by, you can always use that for a little cushion underneath your knees. Hands grounded, knees grounded. All right, so let's work our lower body. So that's going to be our tailbone. So let's just lift the tailbone and then drop the belly. Here's our chest and shoulders. So you want to bring your shoulder blades closer together, neck as you look up. Then we're going to drop the chin to chest. Push up through the shoulder blades, round your mid-back, and tuck your tail. That's cat position. Let's do that again, nice and slow. Shoulders first, so drop the shoulders so that they hug the spine, look up. Drop your belly, lift your tailbone. We'll start with the head, look down, push up through the shoulders, round your back, tuck your tailbone, squeeze the glutes a little bit. And one more time, coming to cow, nice and smooth. One more time, coming to cat, nice and smooth. And we'll come back to center. We're going to stretch our calf muscles out here. So first, just tuck your toes. And then we're going to take just our right leg and slide it back so that the toe is tucked. You want to try to push through that right heel quite a few times. Just start the process of stretching your right heel, stretching your right calf. We're going to move into a tripod downward dog. So just simply lift up off of your left knee, pushing your right heel down to the ground. You can drop back down to your left knee and try it again. Maybe for a third time, rolling back up. Great job. Come back down to your left knee. We're going to turn our left foot towards the back or left side of the mat. We're going to drop our right heel down and sweep the right hand up. So now you're in a side plank, assisted with your left knee as your kickstand. Great job, everybody. Maybe extend that right hand up over your head. Awesome work. Sweep that right hand back down to the ground. Rotate back forward, hands and knees, other side. So tuck your toes, kick just your left foot back, and roll back through that heel, through that calf a couple times, just warming it up, bringing awareness to that left heel, left calf. And then we'll start to add in that lift up off the right knee. So you're really trying to push that left heel down as your right knee lifts. So maybe 2 or 3 times, just rolling up off the knee to press the left heel down. Really stretch that heel. We're going to go the opposite way with the assisted side plank. So we're going to turn our right toes back. We're swiveling on the knee. And then our left toes turn out, so you're on the big toe. Sweep the left hand up to the sky. And maybe that left hand continues over your head, reaching through the side body. Another breath, maybe 2. And whenever you're ready, Swivel back down towards your yoga mat. Rotate the right knee back and drop back down to the left knee too. Tuck your toes and roll up to downward dog. Nice. First downward dog of the day. Feels pretty good. The arms are strong. The toes are nice and strong. You got your calves all stretched out. Walk it out. Left heel presses down, right heel presses down, back and forth. Go ahead and drop back down to the knees. Keep your toes tucked and roll up onto the knees. Great job. Roll out your wrists here. They've had a lot of pressure on them, so let's give them a little break. If you want to go back to the beginning and roll out the wrists, you can do that with figure eights, going forwards and backwards. We spend a lot of time in yoga folding forward, so let's do a little back bend. So again, just keep those toes lifted. We're going to do one side and then the other. So even if your hands don't reach your heels, it's okay. We're just hovering here, but you could make a contact. So we're going to take our right hand, reach back for your right heel. So it's really helpful to have your right toes tucked, otherwise it's a lot further. So tuck those toes, reach your right hand for your right heel, and sweep your left hand up to the sky. Hopefully you're feeling a beautiful stretch from your left armpit down through your belly into the front of your hip even. Let your head draw back a little, open your throat. Be honest with yourself about how that's feeling, and whenever you're ready, sink your hips down and swivel your body forward, and we'll roll back up. Let's try it on the other side. So left hand is going to sweep back for the left heel. So even if it doesn't reach, you can just pretend and kind of hold yourself with your core muscles. And then the right hand is going to sweep up to the sky. Try to bring your belly button, your pelvic bone forward towards the front of your mat and arc through the spine, feeling it from your right armpit to your right hip. And whenever you're ready to come out, sit your hips back and roll your chest forward. Hands to the mat. Tuck those toes, roll up, and we're going to walk our feet forward to our hands. Walk your hands back if you need to. If you need to move any kind of props out of your way, you can take this time to do that. Alright, so we end up in a forward fold. Make sure that your knees stay nice and soft here. So you may feel a hamstring stretch. You may feel it in your lower back as well. You might not be reaching the floor though, and that's okay. Let your head go. Shake it no. Shake it yes. Maybe so. And from here, we're going to bend our knees, kind of like you're going to squat into a chair. And from there, roll up through your body. Rolling up all the way to standing so that it's very slow. And the last thing to come up is your head and shoulders. Adjustments, hands can come to the heart center here. And we want to come back to that cleansing breath. Feel the cool air rush past your throat into your chest. And feel the warm air come out of your chest, past your throat, out your nostrils. Breathing in clean, fresh air. Breathing out any stale oxygen, any old energy, anything negative that is not serving you. Let it go. Inhale here at your heart center, and as you exhale, bring your hands down to your side. Inhale, hands sweep out to the sides or in front of you, up over your head. Soften your knees like you're going to sit back down into that chair and then fold over top your bent legs, so keep your legs bent. we're going to take both feet and step them back. So one at a time. Looking back for your toes, pedal out your heels a couple times here. So we're in downward dog. Push through your hands, lift through your tailbone. Stretch out your calves and hamstrings. Look from your toes to your hands and roll your weight forward into plank. Let's do that again. Look at your toes, hinge your hips up, push into the mat, downward dog. Calves stretching, hamstrings stretching, core strengthening. Roll up to your toes and let that energy flow forward through the crown so that you come into plank. And let's drop to our knees here for beginners and lower ourselves down to the mat. Nice job, everybody. So again, I always start at the beginner. So beginners, you're going to squeeze your elbows in, push the tops of your feet into your yoga mat, and you're going to feel your low back engage as you lift your chest slightly. If you'd like to, of course, you can put a little pressure into your hands. With elbows bent, it's called cobra. Elbows straight, it's upward dog. Lower back through, tuck your toes, and find your way back to downward facing dog. Make any adjustments as you move on your mat, always giving yourself permission to adjust, adapt. So here we are in downward dog. Look from your toes to your hands and start to tippy toe your feet forward. Walk your hands back. Hands are going to come to the shin bones or the knees. Lengthen your elbows, lengthen your legs, lengthen your spine. So feel like someone's tugging on your head and someone's pulling back on your hips. One more breath. Exhale, float down into a forward fold. And if that's hard, separate your feet wider. Wider is better. One more breath, just hang out here. Sweep your arms out or forward and start to roll yourself up. Do it slowly, mostly so that you don't get dizzy. Sweep your hands up overhead. Grab onto that treasure and bring it down through all the centers to your heart. Shoulders relax. All right, we're going to do a special little flow on each side of the body here. So if you're like me and you're in the middle of your mat, then step towards the top of your mat. Inhale here. Exhale, hands to your sides. Inhale, once again, sweep your hands up overhead. Exhale, swan dive. So sit into that chair. Fold over your legs. Keep your right foot grounded right here at the front of your mat and send your left foot back towards the back of your mat. So you want your left heel either lifted like so, or you can drop your heel down a little bit. But that hurts my knee, so I would prefer to just keep my left heel lifted. From here, for strength, we're going to try to push our hands up off that floor and bring our hands up to the top of the right knee, to the heart, or even up overhead. Take your time, and you can stop at any of those. It could be that being on the right knee is good for you today. Maybe being at the heart feels nice and centered, like you're bringing that truth to your heart. Maybe lifting up overhead feels really exalting today. One more breath here. Inhale. As you exhale, float the hands out or forward, and we're going to frame our right foot. Promised we were going to do pigeon today, so what we're going to do is take this right foot and heel toe it or swing it to the left side of your mat so that your right shin can come down on the ground. My shin is at a diagonal. I'm going to face the camera so you can see how my right shin, so it's at a diagonal here. So at first, I'm on both knees. And then I'm going to take my back straight leg and tuck my toe and inch my left knee back. So everything is moving to the ground. And you have to be honest with yourself here. Does that feel okay for your knee? And if you're like, it kind of hurts, then maybe this isn't a good variation of this pose. There's another way to do it, and I'll show you that now. So if you're like suffering and you don't want to do it this way, you don't have to. So the other way to do it would be to roll onto your back and pull that right leg to your chest like so. And so it's the same posture. It's just a different way of accessing that posture. So I'm going to roll back over. Alright, and I really like to just drop onto my elbows and let all those muscles relax there and sink into the posture. But again, being honest, practicing Satya with ourselves. Is that serving your body? Is it harming or is it healing? Because we want it to stay in the healing zone. Beautiful work, everybody. Let's take ourselves up out of that pose. So hoist yourself up onto your hands, slide your right knee back, walk your left knee forward so that you end up in tabletop. And let's take a child's pose or a puppy pose. So child's pose is hips on heels, belly on thigh, forehead to the ground. Puppy pose is hips lifted, walk the hands forward, heart melting. Which one do you prefer? Find yourself there. One more breath, just resting before we finish up the other side. Start to roll yourself up to center, tabletop position. Walk your hands back, adjust your body into that nice aligned pose. Tuck your toes, roll up, downward dog. Look from your toes to your hands and make your way forward, tippy-toeing forward, or a big step if you like. When you get to the forward fold, let's lift ourselves up halfway. So we're lengthening our legs, our arms, and our torso. So you want to feel like someone's grabbing onto your head and pulling it forward, grabbing onto your hips and pulling them back. One last breath right here. Exhale, soften your knees, and we'll slowly start to rise up. Maybe letting your arms carry you. Maybe it's a slow roll up. When you get to the top, sweep your hands to the sky. Grab onto your treasure and bring it right down to your heart center. We're going to do that on the other side. Inhale here. Exhale, hands to the side of your body. Inhale, arms sweep out or forward, up overhead. Exhale, swan dive. Send your hips down. Fold your body forward over bent legs to reach for the floor. With an inhale, lift halfway. Again, someone's tugging on your head and someone else is tugging on your hips. Straightening out your back, pulling them apart. Last breath here. Exhale, bend through your knees. We're going to keep our left foot where it is and step just our right foot towards the back of the mat. Adjust your feet however you need to. Right heel can be lifted or right heel can be turned down. Your foot will be at a 45-degree angle if you choose that option. From here, keep your left knee bent, keep it strong, and lift up to the top of the knee, to the heart center, or up over your head. 2 more breaths, just sinking wherever you are in that lunging warrior position, strengthening the left thigh, stretching the right thigh. One last breath here. Exhale, float your hands down towards the mat. Now here's our pigeon pose. So we're going to take this left foot. So I really have to put my hands on the floor, bend my knee a lot. I'm going to take my left foot and swing it over to the right side of the mat so that my shin is on the mat. Then I take my back right leg and I'm going to slide it back to get my pelvis a little closer to the floor. Remember to be honest with yourself here. So if this posture does not serve you, maybe the reclined posture would. And so the reclined posture looks like this, laying on your back, pulling the bent left thigh towards your chest. I still feel the same exact stretch through the left hip and glute. So just know that we have options for our body. No matter where you've chosen to be, whether it's forward lying or reclined, let's take one last breath right there. And if you love that pose, you can hang out as long as you like until things start to subside and feel like they're stretching out. So just know you have my permission to continue stretching wherever you need to. Let's push up to our hands. Slide the left foot back and slide the right knee forward so that we come into a tabletop. Separate the knees, either child's pose or puppy pose. Remember, the difference is puppy pose is hips lifted. Child's pose is hips grounded. We're going to start to slow everything down here. So from your puppy pose or your child's pose, wherever you choose to be, we're going to take our hands and walk them off the mat towards the right so that the left hand is now on the outer right edge of your mat. And we'll start to lean into that left elbow and just kind of sink into that left armpit and left rib. Feel that stretching out there. Close your eyes. Continue to practice that Satya, knowing discernment, how long is good to hold the pose. Should I hold it longer? Should I release it now? Just knowing for yourself what is true. And when you're ready, switching sides. Walking your hands back through center on that mat, over to the left. So now the right hand is on the outer left edge of the mat, and we'll start to lean into the right elbow, the right armpit, maybe your head leans to the right. We'll breathe a little deeper, a little softer into our body here, into our right shoulder. When you are ready, that's up to you when. And come back to center. We'll practice one more downward dog. So press up to your tabletop position, tuck those toes, and roll up for your last downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling those hips out there. Pedaling those heels. And when you're ready to come down, just dropping back to hands and knees. We'll walk our knees to one side of the mat, swivel the hip down, and start to come onto our hips. Let's give ourselves a little hug as you lay onto the ground. So I just like to make myself a little egg and roll onto my back and start massaging the back into the floor. Give yourself a couple minutes to slow down after stretching, after feeling all of that strength be made in your shoulders, in your hands, in your core. Today I'm going to practice something called waterfall position. So if you do not have any props available to you, you're going to stack your hands on top of each other, but underneath your hips. So I put my feet on the floor, knees bent, and I do a little bridge and stack my hands up underneath my hips. So they do make a little circular position, kind of like an O with the hands, fingertips stacked on top of each other, thumbs stacked down. And I put that right around the sacrum in my lower back area, right around my hips. Now if you do have props, you could use a block or a blanket right there instead of your hands. And all I'm going to do is lift my feet up off the floor, so now my knees are hovering right above my chest, right above my belly. And if it would feel okay, you can extend your legs upward towards the ceiling so that your feet are up and your body is on the floor. We call it waterfall position because we're used to having all the blood pooling into our feet and legs. And now we're doing the reverse, where all the blood usually is. It's all flowing down the legs now, into your body, into your torso. And so we just try to hold that for maybe a minute, maybe the rest of the time. It's really beneficial when you're traveling. If you've got a headache, this is a really good one to do. If you're dealing with anything hormonal, then they say legs up the wall. Just like lay on your bed, lay on the floor, and put your feet up on the wall. Very relaxing, just helps us to become oriented on our back, on the floor, in your house, wherever you are in your world. You might be starting to feel all the blood just moving out of your feet, so maybe they're starting to feel cold. Maybe they start to tingle. And for some of us, that's uncomfortable. But can you sit with discomfort and know the difference between something that is healing and something that is hurting, harming? We want to really stay in that healing zone. That's being honest with yourself. So whenever your legs are starting to feel really tired or you can't handle that, doesn't feel good anymore, bend your knees to your chest, take your hands out, take your props out, and give yourself another hug, pulling your knees to your chest. And let's take a couple of breaths just laying completely flat. So extend your right leg out, wiggle that right leg out on the floor, and just let it be. And then extend your left leg out and wiggle that left leg out. And then just let it be heavy on the floor. Squeeze your glutes together, lift your low back up, and then just let it be heavy on the floor. Let go of your hips, your back, your glutes. And then reach your hands down and out to the sides of your body as hard as you can, lowering your shoulders from your ears. And then just let your arms flop on the ground and just be there. Let your head rock a little right to left. Feeling into your neck and head, and just let it be there just for a moment, just for 3 breaths. Take a deep breath in and feel the air, the cool air, rush past your throat and into your lungs. And let that warm air flow back out through your throat, out of your nostrils. Last breath, just feeling your body laying on the floor right here. Since this is a video, you're welcome to stay here as long as you need to. Please stay laying on your back in Shavasana as long as you would like. If you only had time for that hour practice, then start to bring awareness to your body here. Reach your hands up over your head. Zip your legs together and point your toes. And stretch from your hands to your toes. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Good morning stretch, as they call it. but it might be a good afternoon stretch or a good evening stretch. Bend your knees, rock your knees from side to side. Bring awareness to your back once again. Perhaps roll to the side. Any side is good. Rolling and coiling your upper arm around your ear to support your head. And if you'd like, you can of course stay there as well. So take as long as you need in each of our rising positions, listening to your body and what serves you today. When your body tells you to rise again, you can make your way to seated and start to just bring your awareness back to this body, what it's like to be in this body, to this breath, and what it's like to breathe this breath. Maybe rolling your head a little bit just to bring awareness back into neck, into shoulders. And now I like to bring my hands together, mostly in gratitude. Gratitude for our amazing bodies, for our breath, for all of the beautiful blessings in our lives. Try your best to continue practicing ahimsa, non-violence and non-judgment towards yourself and towards others. And practice Satya, being honest, being truthful, being clear with your communications, but also being kind, compassionate. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me here today, for rolling out your mat with me. I bow to the space within you, where the love and light, the compassion, the truth lays. That space exists within you and me, and that space exists within the universe. And when we recognize that, we also recognize that, in a sense, we are one. And that is why we say, Namaste. Great work today, everybody. I hope that you all feel better in your body and in your mind. Thank you for spending this last hour with me. Namaste.